The following program contains scenes and language of a frank and explicit nature. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is The Loud List, where our random, rowdy, and raunchy band of misfits create top 10 lists of life's most insane shit. Be scared. Nothing is off limits. So congratulations.
You just made the list!
I'm the music god CJ Plain, and this is another episode of The Loud List. Today, we are here to bring you more lists that rock. Over here, back again, once again, back is the incredible Mr. Freddie Fisher. He's going to give you a breakdown on some of the stuff he does, and we're going to do another cool list. This is a different list. This one might get us into a little bit of trouble, but
we don't know. We're going to be nice on this one. We're going to be nice on this one.
Yeah, we're going to be realistic.
Well, I'm going to say that. I am not your host this week. I am Freddie Fisher. I host multiple different shows on the ABC Podcast Network, not that ABC network. So please, shout out to them, but that's not us. But we have shows like Bracket Bastards, Central Booking, The Recasting Call, and a couple of interview shows and stuff like that. And if you want to learn more, go ahead and check out that stuff. It is not safe for work, as always, but if you're listening to this show, I'm pretty sure you're going to be okay with that.
They were anything but safe. For those of you that have heard the show before, you are well aware nothing is ever in a straight line. We are going to run this train off the rails multiple times, but we'll get off the train, we'll jack it back up on the tracks, and we'll continue wobbling down the line. With that said, I know we normally do music, movies, and other stuff, but today, we take a bit of a detour. We're going to do the top 10 celebrities that should run for president. No rules for this one other than just who we personally think would make a good presidential candidate for reasons that may or may not be explained.
I have no problem explaining my decisions on things.
So. I don't either. So we will start with Freddie. Honorable mentions, or ones who barely missed the cutoff for the top 10. I have 3 of them, so feel free to give yours.
Much like last episode that I did, I have 5. I started off with 15. I narrowed it down to 10. I have the 5 that I didn't go with is Terry Crews, Chuck Norris, Paul Rudd, Conan O'Brien, and Tim McGraw.
Okay.
There's nothing really bad about any of those people. I think the most right-wing person on this entire thing would be Chuck Norris. But then again, I also think if there's anybody out there who, especially the non-Native American speaking, non-English speaking people out there, I think if people get a list of the Chuck Norris jokes, not knowing what the joke is, and you have Chuck Norris as president, I think you might have people just kind of laying down their arms.
Right.
Because this guy is just unmovable type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Crews, I think being able to bend a crowd, he's perfect for it. Paul Rudd would be the best looking president we've ever had. Conan O'Brien would be, his presidential speeches would be absolutely hysterical. And I think Tim McGraw would bring it a little bit more into, bring it into farmers' hands a little bit more. And I think farmers, if you want to meet somebody who could not spend money, who can balance a budget and make sure every dollar that is spent is used properly, you need to talk to a farmer. I think that's how stuff would go. So
Right.
that's my 5.
Okay. I have 3. The first 2 didn't make my list solely based on the fact of their age. Just realistically, 2 amazing people who, because they're almost 90, probably wouldn't want to take on the role of the presidency. The first one is Morgan Freeman. The second one is Chuck Norris. Chuck is 87.
Yep. Doesn't look it though.
No, he doesn't. But again, you're talking a whole different beast of a career. Probably not something you want to take on at 87 years old. Even being in the great health that Norris is in, I imagine it's probably a job that would wreak havoc on your health, man. Just the lack of sleep, the hours, the traveling, just everything that goes into it, man. I mean, it ages people. It visibly ages people. Obama looked to be in his 30s, early 40s, and then he looked 60 by the time he left. Clinton aged about 114 years in the few years he was in there.
Well, I mean, Clinton got the life sucked out of him. So,
well, yeah. The third one that I have for my honorable mention, I think he would make an amazing president, but I don't think anyone would take him seriously as a president, even though I think he would do an amazing job, and I think he's way smarter than people give him credit for. My third honorable mention is Woody Harrelson. Woody's not the fuck up that people think he is, but I think people would kind of see Woody as that, where, if you've ever listened to Woody, he's very well informed of thing, and being the son of a death row inmate, of a serial killer, probably wouldn't bid well for your presidential aspirations either. But I think Woody would make a hilarious president, if nothing else. So those are my honorable mentions. So with that being said, number 10 celebrity that you think should run for president.
well, I'm going to go back to the entire Woody Harrelson thing real quick. I think if he got a TV role or a movie, like a franchise movie role of being president, I think people would take him more seriously, because you have that image stuck in your head. So if he has political aspirations, that would be something to fight for. And I think we would love to see it. But my number 10 is Tina Fey.
Okay.
Tina Fey she's a comedian, which I think politics needs a little bit of comedy.
Yes.
Actually, a lot of comedy, to be perfectly honest, because people are so sick and tired of politicians. So you need somebody in there that people are not going to universally love, but the masses will probably get behind you just because you can make them laugh and make them forget about stuff for a minute. And Tina Fey is also extremely well read. She is, I think she's a liberal for the most part,
right?
But she's also not even though she jokes about comedy, she's also not really preachy about it, which as a libertarian myself, not a libertarian, there's a big difference in that.
Yes. Massive.
I would vote, depending on who she's going against, I would vote for Tina Fey as president, because she's amazingly down to earth. She is she's funny. I would actually listen to her speeches. So, and if Tina Fey was president, I guarantee you, like, C-SPAN or whatever the hell that channel is would be on cable for a reason by that point, because like people would be tuning in to watch stuff.
Yeah.
And I would love to see a president that can do impressions of other presidents and other leaders in the world.
Right.
Because I know from experience, if you have somebody doing an impression of you, it doesn't only put you on your back foot, it puts you steps behind them because you don't know what to do. Because whatever you say, they can twist it back to you and really fuck you up.
Yeah.
So Tina Fey is my number 10.
Nice. Number 10 for me, this is going to be a very unconventional pick, but I know he's a super educated guy. He's got life experience. And I would love to see a metalhead. I would love to see a rocker in the White House. My number 10 is Alice Cooper. You know, Alice is a bit right-leaning, not super right-leaning, just mainly because he's religious, more religious than people realize.
Oh yeah.
But you know, very fair guy, and a lot of history with Alice. And I think Alice would come across as somebody that people would really learn to sort of love and appreciate as he spoke, and as people learned more about him other than just the shock rock guy. If they really learned about Vincent Fournier, more than Alice Cooper, I think, he would be viable. And Alice is a libertarian as well. Yes, number 10, Alice Cooper. Number 9,
Jon Stewart.
Okay.
Jon Stewart, I label him a political analyst. He's more of a political comedian. He does the Daily Show with Jon Stewart. He's also a huge wrestling fan too, which makes me laugh. And like, wrestling fans have to go through life with a little bit of whimsy anyway, because wrestling is just nonsensical when you get down to it. And I think the political spectrum is the same way. It's very, very nonsensical. So if you can get somebody who can get the crowd on your side, which is pretty much what the president is. The president realistically does not have any power other than what getting people behind them, because everything can be vetoed multiple times. But if you get people behind you, like it's going to be if you get enough people behind you, people are going to start asking for a third term, which you can't have.
Right.
But you might get enough people in that going, it's like, hey, we might need to change this rule because this guy is a guy or girl is a really, really good president. We like the way he's acting. He gets on everybody's side across the world. And a good laugh may solve wars.
Yes.
Believe it or not. So sometimes you just need a smile. So I'm going to go with Jon Stewart for my number 9.
My number 9 is going to play into a few of those points you just made. The ability to get people on your side, the wrestling aspect, the comedy aspect. Number 9 for me is The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He's, again, you know him as sort of the TV character, the wrestling character, but there is that business side of him as well. Multiple very well-established businesses that he has done, him and his wife, both wives, the ex-wife and the current wife. He is a businessman as much as he is an actor and an entertainer. And that all plays a role into understanding budgets, money, business type meetings, all of that kind of stuff. And, of all the people, when it comes to the political arena, there's always going to be, you have to do the presidential debates. And of all the people that you could possibly list, the single number 1 person that would be a nightmare to debate would be The Rock. Because it would take one eyebrow, or it doesn't matter, to just completely throw everything sideways. And whoever he's debating against, they're done. They're just, there's no way you're not going to crack a smile. There's no way you're not going to just lose your complete train of thought to that. Like, you just, everybody knows The Rock, and you know it's coming. You just don't know when. And he would be really hard to prepare for. On the flip side of that being, even if you did prepare for the eyebrow or all of that, Rock can be very serious. And you're standing there waiting for it to come, and it never comes because he has taken it seriously and decided that's not the route you're going to go. So you're still off your game because you're waiting for that big moment that never pays off, and he beats you that way. So number 9, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock.
I'm going to come back to The Rock later, by the way.
I figured he was going to be way higher on your list.
Much higher.
Yeah, I had him there just because the top half of mine is a little more silly, nonsensical. The bottom half gets kind of serious. Not in a bad way, but yeah. Number 8. Who do you got at number 8?
Sylvester Stallone.
Okay.
Rocky himself. I'm going to go for Sylvester Stallone on this one. He is not only a phenomenal actor, he is also he's a guy that I don't know if the speeches have to be written for him, but he has a type of voice and attitude that if you listen to this man, you want to run through a brick wall.
Yeah.
Not only you have the attitude to do so, like you get so piped up, so just going off of, like, you think you can do anything. And that's what presidential candidates need to be, is pretty much motivational speakers. And especially right now, because I think this world needs a lot more motivation, because after the global bastard that we had, entire pandemic that we had, we need a lot more love. We need a lot more motivation. We need a whole bunch of other stuff. And I think somebody that can motivate you as a person, not only as a voter, but as a person yourselves. And that's not even talking about his political game, his ability to make friends, his ability to have people follow him. And since he's been an actor for so many years, Reagan has used this wonderfully. Since he's been an actor for so many years, he's also going to have a legion of people behind him who are just going to vote for him to vote for him. And having a well-established actor who can talk to people well in the White House would do wonders. So I'm going to go with Stallone on this one.
Yeah, that's a great choice, and I agree with that 100%. It's yeah. I really don't have to elaborate on that. That's exactly right. It's
it's like I can't go against that at all. Like I'd vote for him.
No, you're exactly right. And I mean, I could pontificate more on it, but you've pointed out, like, that motivating factor, that ability to bring people together and to be inspired is a huge thing.
I mean, could you imagine Sylvester Stallone doing the entire Fear Itself speech?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's the type of thing he would do, because he really is that, underdog type of thing.
Yeah.
Number 8 for me, not a conventional pick, but somebody who politically we're on opposite ends of the political argument. I will say that, but I have mad respect for this man because he is one of the hardest working men in all of the entertainment industry. He is smart beyond what is even humanly imaginable. Number 8 for me is Henry Rollins. Rollins is, you know, he's a no bullshit kind of guy. He just tells it like it is, but sort of like Stallone, man. He's seen some things and he'll tell you like it is, and he has a great way of motivating, and the man works. He literally takes no days off during the year. He travels, writes, does his radio stuff. He works every single day, and just, his knowledge, the way he speaks is so articulate. For a guy who's covered in tattoos and looks the way Rollins does, and then he will get on that stage and he will speak in a way that is just, it's either going to motivate you or completely depress you, with the stories of his past. But I love Rollins. I think he's an amazing person. And again, while I don't agree with everything he says, I know it comes from a good place, and I know he would put people first. It would never be, Rollins is never going to be the guy who does something because some party tells him to do it.
Yeah.
He's just simply going to do it because he feels it's the right thing to do, and I respect that. So Henry Rollins, number 8 for me. Number 7.
I'm going to pronounce her name wrong. I do apologize to this person. Mayim Bialik.
Yep.
She
Mayim
was she's most well known for Blossom, but most recently she was on the Big Bang Theory. Sheldon's girlfriend.
Right. Wife.
Yeah.
Amy
Thank
Fowler.
you. Amy. I kept wanting to say Jamie for some reason.
Amy.
Yeah. Farrah Fowler. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
She's a neuroscientist.
Yes.
She's a damn neuroscientist, and she's a damn good actor. And I think when you put her into the Oval Office, I think, and combine every single person, every single ex-president IQ level, I think even on average that thing would raise. Even if you take our most current president out of it, because I'm not for certain. I'm kidding. I don't really care about political IQ when it comes to him. But this woman is a freaking genius.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you that if she wants to study something on how to get out of the situation or how to better a situation or anything like that, she would be able to do it. And her career in Hollywood, I think, gives her the ability, not only the familiar face, but it also gives her the ability to know how to pretty much bullshit people.
Yeah.
Which I'm not.
Or at least navigate in a room full of bullshit.
Yeah. There's a difference between lying to people and having tact.
Yeah.
Because you can tell, there's certain people on this planet that can tell you to go fuck yourself. And by the end of the conversation, you want to do it.
Right.
Like, you're looking forward to the trip. I think she's one of these people that she's so nice and have the ability that she could be like talk you out of what you came in there to do. And you're just happy for the trip. I think she'd make an excellent, not only the first, but probably the best Madam President that we will ever have.
Yeah.
Gets my vote.
Yes. That is a great choice. Funny in the sense of, on a show about geniuses, she was literally the only actual genius
Yeah.
on the show, which I thought was funny. And she wasn't even an original. She didn't come into like season 3 or something. So a great choice. Number 7 for me. I have Denzel Washington. Denzel, much for the same reason you had Stallone. He just strikes me as that motivator type of person, that type who would walk into a room and everything would be, even if you did something bad, it would be a teachable moment as opposed to turning it into a circus or something like that. You know, it would be just that strong character of doing what's right and doing it in a timely fashion, in an organized fashion. And again, that ability to speak to people on their level as opposed to trying to talk above them or having to revert to, do you know who I am? Or do you know my background? Do you know this or that? Denzel would just be that guy who wants to bring people together to work and get it done. You know, that his work with Boys and Girls Club, you know, and stuff like that. He's that mentor teacher type. And that's never a bad thing when you have everything going on around you. So Denzel, my number 7.
We'll get back to him later too, by the way.
Number 6.
Pretty shortly, actually. Like it's not.
Yeah.
He's not one of my top ones, but he's one of my top ones. My number 6 is Mike Rowe. Mike Rowe is the spokesperson, at least. He's also the
Yes.
main person in the show Dirty Jobs. And Dirty Jobs is a show that talks about pretty much the working man who does all these jobs that nobody else wants to do: sewer technicians, garbage men, people who clean out the vats and like restaurant chains, and just people that go home and they strip in their car before they get in, just so they don't have to smell up their house, or they have a shower outside of their house because their wife doesn't allow them in the house until they get at least some of the stank off them, which is really nice if you're cheating on your wife, because then you get all the perfume off you beforehand. Not that I know, just saying it's a good way to do that. I think Mike Rowe, from a political standpoint, I think Mike Rowe would pretty much get every single person, at least on the Republican side, every single person who is not part of the top 10% of people, the top richest people, because everybody who is not part of the 10% club has had some kind of dirty job in their life, whether it be fast food worker or something along those lines. So there's a common man situation on that. And I would love him to come out when he does a political song. I want him to come out to the Dusty Rhodes music. I do. Like, I'm just a common man. Anyway, but I do. I think, and I also think he has the ability to talk to people on such a common level, and that I think it's impressive. And he's a spokesman for veterans as well. I think the only person that does it better than him would be Gary Sinise. So, but I don't want Gary Sinise in office, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, Mike Rowe is my number 6.
As you've stated, we'll get back to him.
Nice.
I have him much, much higher.
Well, I did number 6. I mean, that's not too terribly bad.
No. Number 6 for me is someone that most people wouldn't probably think of. But again, for much of the same reason of what we were talking about with Kevin Smith and Adam Sandler, as somebody who's just an honest, likable guy. I think both sides would get behind. And I think in his own quiet way, he probably would never consider it, but I think people would really get behind him, and I think he'd be a natural leader. Um, of a the perfect example of lead by example. My number 6 is Keanu Reeves. Um, the guy who does the right thing all of the time, never wants credit for it. He just does it. And, Keanu strikes me as the guy who, he would never willingly run for the office because it's just not his type. But, you know, I think he would make an amazing president. That calm under pressure, can be the tough guy if he needs to be, but can also kind of be the goofy type. And, he would have that ability to diffuse situations with words, as opposed to having to like go to war or stuff like that. And yeah, Keanu Reeves, that is my number 6. Number 5.
This is the first time we've actually matched up a little bit, and I'm going to go with Denzel Washington. I think Denzel is one of the best speakers type thing, one of the best motivators, and as I've said before, with Stallone, especially, has the ability to make you want to get up and do something. And if you have the ability to get some, like, do political ads where you get people to do something they don't want to do, and you tell them to vote for you, that's voters right there. That's how you get into the office. If you have that same ability with foreign leaders, it's kind of what it is. And I also think Denzel has the ability to think for himself on a lot of things. So I think he'd do a great president. I would want to see him in a movie or something as president beforehand.
Yeah.
And not a comedy, like a serious movie type thing.
As I was just thinking about it, he never has played a president, has he? He's played lawyers, he's played doctors, he's played Malcolm.
Like, imagine a reboot of Air Force One.
Yeah.
Like taking Harrison Ford's role, but Denzel Washington.
Or the what do you call it?
London Has Fallen.
Yeah, the ones that Morgan played the president with Gerard Butler. I could very well see him in those movies.
The only problem with those is that the president's kind of the side character.
Yeah, but he still would be that sort of strong.
If he would launch his political career to become president, because that's how I would do it. If I was a star or something, I would put myself in political roles, even like as far as Hollywood goes, political roles, to incorporate the idea of president, and then go to become president, so people can actually see that happening. And if you want to talk about a badass president, that's a badass president.
Yeah,
would be Harrison Ford and Air Force One. Denzel Washington, the only real political type movie he's ever been in is, with the exception of Malcolm X, would be the Manchurian Candidate. And that's not the type of political movie you want to be known for.
Right.
So
Denzel Washington is number 5. Number 5 for me, again, somebody you wouldn't necessarily think of in that role, but he has played serious roles. He's an ex-Marine. He is a national hero in the aspect of he's done a lot of things that never got credit for, including 9/11, when he, New York City fireman, put the suit back on and walked headfirst into help rescue people. Steve Buscemi. You know, he's a Marine, ex-Marine, New York City firefighter, you know, and even though he had well into his career as an actor, 9/11 happened, he put that suit back on and, you know, he was out there with those other firefighters pulling people from buildings. And I think that's well above, well above and beyond the call of what his duty honestly was at that point. I mean, he didn't have to do that. And I thought that was awesome. And I like Steve. I think Steve would be another one that would be kind of a sleeper as a president. You know, you don't think of him in that role, but I think he would do an admirable job. He'd be one of them guys that people would kind of maybe not know what to think at first, but he would lead by example and would prove that, you know, this is a job that he's well within his personality type to do. So,
I think you'd have to change his image a lot.
Yeah.
Like start doing more serious roles. At least for like 8 years. Like if he started now, if he started doing only serious roles now, it would probably be halfway through the next presidency that he would be able to do something there, because there's so much comedy behind him that it's just
I mean, but he's young enough too. I mean, he's only like, I think Buscemi's only like 58 or 59 years old. So, I mean, he's still got plenty of time to, if he wanted to change his image or whatever. And, you know, he's done more serious stuff, Boardwalk Empire. And I mean, I know playing a gangster isn't exactly the best image, but it proves he's more than just the comedic guy. He's more than just a goofy character. You know, I think that's what I said. I think he'd be sort of a sleeper. But anyways, that's my number 5. Number 4, who do you got at number 4?
One of your non-picks that you had up there. I have Morgan Freeman. I do agree with you on the entire age thing. I do. I don't want him to be a 2-term president.
Right.
But I also think Morgan Freeman could restore a lot of faith.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Into the government system, which would be his lasting legacy. It wouldn't be what he does or anything realistically. And he would do a lot of wonderful things, because Morgan Freeman is quite literally the voice of God.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a voice for your inner conscience, it's Morgan Freeman. Instead of like what a lot of people consider politicians in general to have on their shoulders, is not a devil on one side and an angel on the other. They're both devils. So if you want to restore the conscience of American politics, at least for one term, I think Morgan Freeman would do it. And then have him retire. Don't have him act anymore. Don't do anything else. Just have him right off into the sunset, holding the highest office. And I think by this point, he would be the first full-blooded African man, or African-American male, to be president at that point. Because if I remember right, Obama was half and half.
Yeah.
So, and Freeman has played president before. So as said, if you want to have a guideline of Morgan Freeman as a president, you have some stuff to make a decent preview reel out of, like a trailer out of.
Yes.
So Freeman gets my vote on number 4.
All right. Number 4 for me you had Jon Stewart up at number 9.
Yep.
Sort of in the same vein, but a little different. I have Bill Maher at number 4. Bill's incredibly smart. He is one of them guys who, you know, he sort of leans into just being who he is. And sometimes he's on the right, sometimes he's on the left. I think Bill really, at his heart, he's about doing the right thing more than he is about a party. You know, there are times Bill says stuff that I want to strangle him for. And there's times Bill says stuff that I'm like, yes. So, you know, but funny and well-spoken. And I think Bill could, you know, for the same reasons as Jon Stewart, I think Bill would, you know, make his mark as me, one of them guys. He'd either be an incredible president or it's going to just crash and burn, but be interesting to watch.
Well, I think having a standing comedian, much like Tina Fey, Jon Stewart, yeah, and Bill Maher as a president would be actually kind of nice, because the ability to laugh at oneself and not the ability to not take one too seriously. Everybody knows that the American politician system, political system, is screwed. It's screwed up to the point that if we don't have a reset button somewhere, it's gonna fail somewhere. So if you have the ability to have a comedian go up there and go, look, we know it's messed up. We know you've lost faith. We know we could do better. Just know that we're trying. Just know that we know we can do better. And know that it's going to get better as far as we can go as human people, as long as we stick together. And the ability to have somebody who can convey that in a comedic sense is great. Because you don't have to do it via hate. Hate is going to take out half the people and give half the people against you no matter what. If you disagree with somebody, in general, just disagree with somebody, but they give it to you in a comedic sense, you tend to agree with them more, because through that laughter, you learn something. But if they say, you have to know this, you have to agree with me, you have to do everything else, our rebellious nature as Americans, and I can say pretty much every American is in tone with this, we're going to say no, even if we agree with you. But admitting your faults, and a lot of comedians are self-deprecating. Admitting your faults, have the ability, a unique ability, to bring people to your side that would not have been on your side in the first place. So having a comedian as a president, people are going to say, oh, it's a joke. You're pulling at the wrong branch on this one. It may be a joke, but that's what we need.
I'd say my immediate top 2 choices for number 1, I didn't put on the list solely because they're not alive right now. Had they been alive, I'll tell you right now, Robin Williams, George Carlin, both would be very near the top of my list for all of the reasons you just said. Both of them would have the ability to completely unarm anyone, both through laughter, through their personality, and through the pure ability that they had to just be the smartest son of a bitch in the room without ever trying to be the smartest son of a bitch in the room. You know, so, but obviously not being alive, not viable. So, Bill Maher is my number 4. Number 3, who you got at number 3?
he's kind of the heel right now, but I still love him regardless. I'm going to go with one of the things we're talking about in general is the ability to control a crowd.
Yes.
And I'm a huge wrestling fan. We know one of the things that wrestlers do on multiple times during the week is control crowds of 60,000 people plus. Some of the crowds hate you because they're told to hate you. So you go to a rally as a president, a majority of the people, they don't hate you. They want to be there type thing. They're not told to hate you. They're literally paid to be there. So I'm going to go with a wrestler on this one. And I think somebody who has earned his stripes and just being a nice guy, being extremely business savvy, being a lot of people don't call him a great actor, but I tend to disagree with him. There's a lot of roles that he has that I absolutely love. I'm going to go with John Cena.
Oh, okay.
I don't. I think Cena, not right now. I think Cena in like 10 years would do absolute wonders for the political system because if you want, it's the ability to get people behind you. He holds the record still currently, even as a heel, as the entire Make-A-Wish Foundation with like thousands, like 5,000 Make-A-Wishes. And he's been doing this with kids for the longest time. So if you have all these kids that he's done Make-A-Wishes for are now growing up to vote. Well, they didn't grow up to vote because they all died. But
the families don't remember you.
their families are going to vote for you. All of their friends are going to vote for you because they remember that. And wrestling, by the way, is now a worldwide situation because it's on Netflix. So people across the world are going to know who this person is. And with the exception of saying, oh, he's just a wrestler and an actor, what bad can you say about John Cena? You have one joke that is not wrestling related, and that's it. And that is that the fact that you can't see him. And even the political factor will get boring for a while after that. You can't make any other jokes about his race because he doesn't really, he's a rich white guy, but he's not really old enough to do anything about it. He grew up on the streets. He ended up broke when he started. He's an author too, and he does a whole bunch of other stuff. I think John Cena would be a fantastic presidential candidate. I don't see him winning, but I think he would be a great presidential candidate, and I would vote for him.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed. 100%. Number 3 for me, you mentioned him earlier. I have Mike Rowe for all of the reasons you said, for his love of the trades and the fact that we don't put more focus on the trades as opposed to trying to push everyone towards college. His everyman attitude, his ability to connect with middle America, which is the part of America that both of the parties have seemed to just sort of navigate away from, is the exact reason that Mike Rowe would be that guy that, for all of the opposite reasons of our current president, he would be like Trump in 2016. To just, he would sort of come out of nowhere and he would just get a massive army of people behind him because he would be the guy that people would just relate to. Not as a politician, not as an actor, not as anything other than just being Mike Rowe. He's that sort of, it may be a reference that'll go over a lot of people's heads, but, back in the 80s, the 70s, Paul Harvey, and now for the rest of the story, is just that calming voice, that calming sort of demeanor that lets you know that even in the face of adversity, everything is going to be all right. You know, that's he's just that guy that does what's right, man. And it's again it's not about a party. It's not about fame. It's just about life. You know, you go to work, you come home, you take care of your family, and by whatever means necessary, you just do what you do. And you know, he's somebody that I would vote for in a minute, just because I come from that background. I was raised on a farm. I've had jobs of shoveling cow shit. I've been a truck driver. I've worked in a tannery where you know, strip cowhides and shit. And I've worked in a lumber mill. So, you know, I've done a handful of those dirty jobs that he talked about. And again, you know, other people have as well. So you relate to them. So Mike Rowe,
I think
number 3.
I think Mike Rowe is one of the few people on this list that wouldn't really have the money to do it. And to begin in politics, you need to have a lot of money. Mike Rowe is the type of person that could start a YouTube show type thing. And there's an app type thing that you could put on the corner of your YouTube channel on your screen. It's something called like buy me a coffee thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one way to get political donations without getting political donations is through apps like that. You would have a lot of modern day Americans giving $5, $10, $20. And that you don't have to pay a $500 a plate dinner type thing. If you're having a simple, not really a one-on-one conversation, but if you have a Q&A section and there's thousands of people in your feed at that current time and other people are asking questions, it takes 30 seconds to somebody to donate $20.
Yeah.
And $20 today is kind of a lot of money because we're in the middle of a recession, but but if you have an everyman type person who doesn't have the money, you know, he doesn't have the money, which is the reason why he's doing this. You're going to get more people to do that because the majority of people, that 70% you were talking about previously, is the type of people that want to help out the little man. Yeah. Mike Rowe is essentially a little man.
Yeah.
And that would get him the presidency.
Yeah. You know, talking about Robin Williams, he was in the movie Man of the People. And Mike Rowe would literally be a man of the people. I mean, you know, it's really a movie. I know Mike Rowe's not an actor per se in the sense of like what we consider others, but you know, if you were going to redo that movie, recast that movie, Mike would literally be the type of person that you realistically cast it and make it about. Like if you wanted to reboot Man of the People and just sort of make it this far-fetched story of this just everyday guy that is cast into the presidency unexpectedly by some random event. He didn't actually run for president. He just kind of there was I think it was a Kevin Costner movie where, if I remember right, it's one where he ended up being like the deciding vote.
Swing vote.
Do what?
Swing vote.
Swing vote. You know, that type of situation. I think Mike would be like that perfect character to play that sort of guy who is sort of thrust into it unexpectedly.
I think people with Mike Rowe, I don't think people would vote for him the first time. I think what would need to happen is Mike Rowe to officiate a debate and have him show his political knowledge and what he does have to offer. And then when he kind of not really shows up because you can't show up people at the debate and then expect to be welcome.
Right.
But if you can do it nicely with tact, as I was saying before, if you can do it with tact before, and the American people watching this. And I think Mike Rowe, knowing who he is, would bring people to the debate, would bring watchers to the debate because they want to know what the questions are that Mike Rowe is going to ask.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's a good shout.
Yeah. And that's 100% true about showing people up. Tulsi Gabbard learned that the hard way. They did not appreciate her dragging Kamala and Hillary through the mud at first. She showed Hillary up, and Hillary's like, "Yeah, I've had enough of this bitch. We're shutting her down right straight out of the gate, man. Like, we ain't gonna let that happen twice." Number 2, who do you got at number 2?
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who was listed as he's the only independent on my list. I think The Rock, because I'm pretty sure this is Trump's last run legally, his last run. I think The Rock could announce his candidacy tomorrow.
Yeah.
And people, even in the political sphere, would try to get Trump impeached just to see if they can get The Rock in faster. He has the ability to control the crowd.
Yeah.
Usually he can think on his feet. Granted, for everybody out there, by the way, The Rock does not write his own promos. He had people write for him. The only person that really writes his promos that goes off the crowd noise and stuff like that we were talking about previously is John Cena. That's old news. It happens. It came up with the entire when John Cena said, "And I don't have to write my promo on my arm" thing. There's a guy, he's no longer alive, but he used to write The Rock's promos when The Rock was big. However, The Rock now writes his own stuff because he has 500 million followers on his socials. And with, I don't know how many people are in the US right now, but 500 million is pretty much covers the entire country.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the last count was 468 million.
Okay. So 500 million. So pretty much everybody in the country, plus people in different countries. The Rock could announce his candidacy tomorrow, and I don't think a single person would go against him because it would be a waste of money.
It would, yeah. As I said, there's no way to prepare for The Rock. I mean, it's just one of them things where he wouldn't even have to write new stuff. Again, you can't prepare for somebody like him. Like you can't prepare for him because if you went in with the mentality, he's going to say something out of pocket, he's going to do the eyebrow, and then you're waiting for that moment and you're hesitant because you're waiting for that moment, and then he doesn't pull that moment, then you come across as hesitant. You come across as, not being prepared or not being whatever, and he beats you that way. Or if you come in fully just gung-ho and then he does do that and you're not prepared for it, again, you're off your game. You're going to stammer and lose your place, and you still come off as unprepared. And, I mean, he's just he's a nightmare scenario for a political debate, and again, with his background proving, look, I can run a movie studio. I can run a sports league. I can run all of these different things that him and his wife have established. He's got the record to prove that he could sit in budget meetings and understand it. He could sit in other meetings and understand it. He's got the mental capacity for it, and it's not like you're going to bully him. I mean, you could try, but you know, he's gonna at least verbally let you know that, hey, look, I have to go about this another way. But yeah, you know,
And
I probably could have had Rock much higher on my list, thinking about it, but
the really sad part about this is that during this entire conversation, nothing was mentioned about him politically. The only thing, the only reason I put him above Cena is the simple fact that Cena, when the entire Vince McMahon thing came out, and which is still going on, so we don't legally know about whatever. But I also say, everybody out there, believe survivors first. If they're proven not worthy of your trust later on, that's a different story. But believe survivors first. Cena, when asked the question about Vince McMahon, he backpedaled and kind of went on the entire not rant, but he went on the idea or answer that Vince McMahon has always been a father figure to me. The Rock, on the flip side of that, when he was asked about it, he didn't downgrade the situation. He gave it exactly the time and accountability that it needed and everything else, and said, and pretty much said like that's not, it's not, it wasn't right. I don't know what happened, but it wasn't right, type thing. And he met it head on. I don't even know if he knew it was going to happen, but that's just what it was. So I think, and again, he's got pretty much every. I don't know, with the exception of the fact that he's an independent, which raises flags in general because you don't know how he's going to go. He just kind of thinks for himself, type thing.
yeah.
As an independent myself, I know that's one of the problems, because you can't depend on people. I think The Rock has people he can depend on, and again, 500 million followers.
I think The Rock is, again, being the independent, I think it's just going to be in his nature. It's not going to be a left thing or a right thing with him. It's simply going to be do the right thing, you know. And then that he may not get it done, realistically having to deal with the fact that, yes, Congress is involved, House of Reps is involved, all these other things are involved, but he's going to push very hard to be that guy that is, let you know that, look, one way or another, I'm going to let it be known that, you know, don't do it for this reason or that reason, just do it for the right reason. Make sure it's for the good of the people. So
I will say this too. Two things. One, he would be the people's president.
yes.
And two, I think The Rock, having Dwayne Johnson as a president, would create such a shift in the political spectrum that nowadays it seems like the Republicans and the Democrats are realistically just playing two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Type thing. They believe in the same stuff. They're just telling a different story to get to the same point. Which is the reason why Trump was such a problem, is because he's in there and he doesn't work that way. He's getting rid of people who have been there for way too long, type situation. But if you have The Rock come in as an independent, I think The Rock could get in there as a Green Party or any other faction that Rock could go in there as a socialist and still win.
Yeah.
So you would, if The Rock would win as an independent, independence has never won before, never even come close. It would force the Republicans and Democrats to pretty much combine and become a Democratic Republican.
Yeah.
As a single party.
What they were in the beginning.
Yes. So it would quite literally change the landscape of American politics.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he could realistically be the first libertarian to actually have a chance at being elected if he went that route. or whatever, Green Party, Socialist Party, whatever or if he created his own party.
Which he probably could.
I mean, in the same sense as Trump, it's not like the man doesn't have enough money if he wanted to commit to it. It's not like he doesn't have enough money or backing in Hollywood to do it. I mean, I'll guarantee you it would not be hard for him to get somebody like McMahon or
Well,
whoever.
McMahon doesn't really have a lot of money nowadays.
Linda does.
Yeah,
You
Linda does.
But
Linda
I'm
also
saying,
has
like,
a
it wouldn't
lot
be
of
hard to get those people to back him up. I mean, he's going to have enough friends and enough people to, if he were to take that route, they're going to sort of come together and, you're going to have you're going to have a table where Sylvester Stallone and Kevin Hart are sitting at the same table, even though politically they are on opposite sides of the spectrum. And it's going to be a fun party. It's going to be that sort of party that you kind of want to have in DC as opposed to what you get. So yeah.
The one other thing too is that I cannot remember if The Rock has ever had any kind of scandal.
I can't. I mean, other than his divorce, but it really wasn't a scandal.
But they're still friends.
I was going to say they not only friends, they're business partners.
They're
work
business
together.
partners, for God's sakes.
Yeah. So,
and if you want to talk about somebody who can still do business with an ex about how what they could do politically,
yeah,
that's saying something.
Yeah. I can't think of anything with The Rock that would be a scandal. I mean, probably the biggest thing is the thing with Vin Diesel, the whole piston match they had on the movie set. But again, that's not a scandal. That's just.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure a majority of people were on The Rock side on that one too, because that's Vin Diesel.
Yeah. I mean, again, but so The Rock is number 2 for you. Number 2 for me. This is a man who I've always seen him as presidential. He would be that no bullshit type of president who would demand accountability. He would demand things get done in a proper and timely fashion. Probably not be well liked by his staff as much because of the fact he would demand accountability and shit got done in an orderly fashion. But also somebody, I think once I say his name, he's just carries himself presidentially. Number 2 for me is Tom Selleck.
Yep.
Selleck he strikes you as, obviously you see it a little bit on Blue Bloods, but I mean, that's how I picture him being a president. It's just that he's not going to put up with your bullshit. He wants the job done. He wants it done in a timely fashion. Doesn't give a shit whether you like him or not. He just get it done, do it right, get it done the way it's supposed to be done. And, he carries himself in that sense, man. Like, again, no scandals, just an upright guy. He sort of has kept his private life far out of the Hollywood limelight. He's kept that veil between the two. He's been, very adamant about, look, you know me as Tom Selleck, the actor, but Tom Selleck's private life there's not a lot known about his kids. There's not a lot known about his wife, about his marriage, and what he does in his free time, man. It's just, you know him as Magnum, and you know him as a Blue Bloods guy. But I think he would do a hell of a job as a president. Like, he just, again, he has that authoritative air about him that he would be the guy you wouldn't want to. You wouldn't want to cross him, but you wouldn't want to underestimate him either. Like, it would be a bad mistake to underestimate his abilities or to try to go above him or beneath him to get something done behind his back. Like, it wouldn't go well for you. So that's my number 2. Number one choice for celebrity that should run for president.
Well, I'm gonna go back to Tom Selleck for a second.
Okay.
One
Go
other
ahead.
thing about Tom Selleck is that I think everybody has a favorite Tom Selleck role
Right?
because his movies are so vast. They
Yeah.
really are. My favorite Tom Selleck role, believe it or not, is Quigley Down Under, and that's a movie that not a lot of people know of,
Right.
type thing, and it's a western, and a lot of people don't really like westerns and everything
Right.
else, but there's just so many things that would having Tom Selleck as president would be like having John Wayne as president at times.
I don't think it would be quite as rough. John was
His personal life, yeah, John Wayne is a personal, especially the farther you go on in his life.
Yeah.
But
John had some very strong opinions that probably were not right for the role. But I get what you're saying as far as the the no bullshit type of thing and the ability to get shit done through pure, having a stronger personality than those around you of like, yeah, you can make this a battle of wills if you want, but you're gonna lose.
So I was saying for my number one, I was saying how John Cena is such a wonderful person due to this entire Make-A-Wish thing. But the number one person, I think, just as a person to restore the faith in the world today, I don't know if she'd make a good president or not.
Well, please say what I think you're gonna say.
As a spokesperson for the general public of the US, which is pretty much what the president should be, is a general spokesperson to get people united together. She might be disqualified for her age. I apologize about that. But I'm going to go with Dolly Parton.
Yes. I need a bell. I need a whistle. God damn it. I'll just say right now and we can discuss it. My number one is absolutely Dolly Parton.
Yes. I was surprised on that too, because you were talking about how Morgan Freeman wouldn't get your vote because of or not get your vote, but get on the list because of age.
But Dolly is, I understand Dolly's a little older, but man, Dolly, she moves like she's 40 still, man. Like you don't think of Dolly being as old as she is. Dolly just is, I mean, she's a dynamo, man. And I have long said, for me, and I don't know how you feel about the other one, but to me, the ultimate presidential ticket for America, for middle America, as two women who are no bullshit, get things done, they're not going to take your bullshit, would be Dolly as president and Reba McEntire as vice president. Mm-hmm. Dolly and Reba together would just be a force to be reckoned with. And there are no amount of men in Washington, D.C., in the Congress or the House of Reps that are going to deter those two women from getting done what they want done, man. Like, they just, they would be an absolute wrecking crew. And they're bringing in everybody as a campaign together. Dolly's bringing in the gay vote. Reba's bringing in the rednecks. They're going to bring in the women. They're going to bring in, the men love Dolly. I mean, I can't think of any category of people that those two are not going to pull a large chunk of. And again, for all of the reasons I've stated above and beyond, Dolly she's going to do it for the right reason. It's not going to be a Republican or a Democrat thing. She's simply going to do it because it's the right thing to do. It's for the good of the people. It's going to come from a good place and a pure heart, and, not to gain anything, not to make money off it, not to be part of the news cycle. but simply because it'll be good in what she was taught growing up, just to be a good person. So, yeah. I'll let you.
I'm going to agree with you on the entire, mainly because she's my number one. Dolly Parton being on the ticket. Me personally, though, I think the travel would be rough for her.
Yeah.
I would go Rock as president and then Dolly as vice.
Okay.
Because the
That would be
the vice president's travel schedule is nowhere near as daunting or out there as the president's is, which is why the president seems to age 20 years and 4, because of the fact that's why I tell people all the time who give any president we have so much shit. There was an entire thing about Trump going on golfing tours and stuff like that every once in a while, which he does do a lot. I agree with that, but his job is 24/7.
So
He's literally on call all the time. If he's not on call, like he has to get like a colonoscopy or something, there's a presidential shift. Like there has to be a new president if he ever is unavailable to do anything medically. So that's what I'm saying, is that it's just people need to give a little bit more credit where credit is due. I don't like the guy. I don't like Trump. Didn't vote for him, but there's a little bit too much hate going around for something that people who
Dolly's only a year older than Trump, though. So, I mean, her age
people
isn't
who
really...
hate on the president in general are also the same people who would never try it even locally.
Right.
So until you give up your life for political reasons, stop. Like, you need to gain some respect for the role that you're trying to bash down.
Yeah.
So, but no, yeah, and I can see that. I can see pretty much anybody here doing it. I would love just to have a cabinet of this group of these 15-ish people. Yeah, 15 people, because we doubled on 4 of them. No, 5, because we doubled on Dolly.
That would, that's the potential for another show right there, is we take these however many picks we have here and we create a presidential cabinet with them, because there are some that are clearly built for certain roles. Mike Rowe would make a great person for interior defense, which deals with national parks and that kind of stuff, or even the economic office of economic affairs.
I wouldn't go that far. I would go Department of Agriculture.
There you go.
More than Department of you said Department of Defense.
Yeah, interior
I would go with
defense.
Henry Rollins for that one.
Okay, yeah. My obviously would be, something like Surgeon General. I mean, obviously she's neuroscientist, so I mean, she understands medicine. And
Department of Education.
I would Department of Education. I think I would leave that to Denzel. I think Denzel or Morgan Freeman would both be great choices for education.
Actually, I think the best person for Department of Education would be Dolly Parton, but she's our vice president. So
yeah, I was say she's going to be president. So but not everyone is going to be perfect for a great role, but I think there's some that are clearly they have a strength that you could sort of playfully create a cabinet of almost an idiocracy type of presidential cabinet type of thing of people that um I think would be fun.
Like, do I think be kind. We have the recasting call shows
Yeah.
what we do. So taking these 15 people and sorting out a role, like choosing 3 per role, but everybody's listed somewhere on it. And once they're listed for one role, they can't be listed for something else. So it's just kind of
Yeah.
process of elimination, anything else. You could do it that way. It's not
Yeah.
like it's not impossible.
That's what I'm saying, because I mean there's some that would just be, they're clearly more qualified for one thing than they are the other. I wouldn't put Mike Rowe in, say the Surgeon General role, but like you said,
No, but
agriculture or
Department of Education as well. He's a spokesperson for not going to college.
Yeah, again, Department of Education, for trade schools and that kind of thing. Yeah, Stallone. I think Stallone could fill a couple different ones that, I don't know, man. I just there's some. It's something to give a thought to, to see these people as something more than just
and that you don't
as.
Being the head of something, you really don't. You need 2 things. One, you need to have the thought process behind you. You don't need to know the right answers all the time. You just need to know the right answers when it comes to when somebody presents it. So having the intelligence, like for instance, Henry Rollins might not be the best person for like Department of Defense in general, maybe the best person on this list, but Department of Defense. But he would have the mentality to bring enough people around him that he trusts, who are intelligent, who are educated in that department.
Yeah.
To bring him the decisions that need to be brought to him, and he just makes the final call. So he doesn't have to do the research. He doesn't have to do anything else. Just he's the one that makes the final call, and he's also the person who talks to people as a spokesman.
Right.
So that's my. Have you ever had a list where you and the other person agreed on the top one? Because you seemed kind of shocked or excited when I brought up.
I was excited because I kind of had a feeling you might go that direction, but I wasn't sure. And it really was, again, it's sort of an out of the box choice. I don't think a lot of people would think of Dolly in that capacity, but it's one that to me just seems so natural because, if there was anyone that I wanted us to agree on, it was her. Just partly because of what we were talking about earlier on your show, on the country show, but just because it's freaking Dolly, man. I mean, like, what greater person could you think of to be in that role that is more beloved, that is more loving as a person, that is more genuine? And again, as you mentioned, the ability to use humor. People forget Dolly is hysterical, and she is very, very quick-witted. You would say something to Dolly offhand, and she would immediately, she's got that ability to come back and not even have to think about it, man. She's going to disarm you with a thought or a quick word or something, and you're not going to be prepared for it because you're thinking, oh, it's just Dolly Parton. But you know, I mean, if you've watched Best Little Whorehouse, if you've watched 9 to 5, if you watched uh Call to the Heart, you know, Dolly is, you know, she's quick-witted, man. And she'll get you with those words real quick. So um I don't recall if I've had a list where I've agreed number one. Um give me 1 minute. Just
I mean, and my main thing too is that Dolly Parton, as you were saying, why you looked this up, Dolly Parton is completely left field on
yeah,
this particular topic.
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So the fact that it just came up randomly like that is, and I didn't have a lot of, we were discussing, we recorded the previous show today, so we had what, maybe an hour and a half to take care of this, and
Yeah,
I
we literally had like 90 minutes to.
And I had supper to make. I had to post stuff for the other show that we did. I had, or not other show, but Bastards that we do. I had to get set up for next week. I had to do a whole bunch of other stuff in the process. So when we started the show,
Yeah,
I was
no.
still writing stuff down.
Yeah, no, I haven't had any other that. I had the same. I had one where their number two was my number one, and my number one was their number two.
Yeah, so
we just switched them. That was the 70s TV series. I had All in the Family at number two, and MASH is number one. They had MASH as number two, and All in the Family is number one. And it was really one of them ones that was kind of like, okay, it's made sense to me because there really wasn't a wrong answer.
oh no, there is. It's MASH. MASH should be number one.
But that was the way I looked at it. But I could also very clearly see why you would say All in the Family would be number one, because it really is that iconic show. To me, logically, MASH, you know, largest finale of all time, and it was really just that show at that time that took a very serious matter, put a different face on it, and you know, to me, it was clearly number one. But you know, I really couldn't disagree with All in the Family either, because I get it. It was that show that people kind of gravitated to. And, you know, Carol O'Connor took a role that I think anyone else probably would have fell on their face with and made it iconic with his pure ability to do what he did, you know. And he did the same thing in The Heat of the Night. You know, I mean, he really made Bill Gillespie into a likable character for a character that really shouldn't have been likable, honestly. You know, Walton Goggins, Boyd Crowder was never supposed to be a likable character, but Walton plays him in a way that you sort of can't help. And even though he's the bad guy, you can't help but like Boyd Crowder. You know, Boyd is just that swaggering bad guy that kind of, even though he's a bad guy, you kind of root for him. So Dolly Parton is our number one. Mutually agreed upon. Very cool. I love that we both sort of came to the same conclusion on that. Any final thoughts? Where do they find you?
My final thought on this one, if you ever need somebody to come back, let me know, because this was a lot of fun.
Always.
Everybody out there who is listening to this, just again, I did this with very, very little prep. So it's not something that you have to come in and be super intelligent on. I do love politics. Don't get me wrong. I love talking about politics. I love going into something knowing that I'm probably wrong and have the ability to learn off of it. So just come in with that mentality, an open mind, open sensibilities, and everything else. I am not your host, Freddie Fisher, and you can find me at that on Facebook. While you're on Facebook, check out Bracket Bastards, the audience vote, where you can vote along with us every single week. Some of the stuff coming up as we record is Movie Moms, which we're celebrating Mother's Day with, Sex Life and Movie Titles, Dirty Destinations, and Overplayed Wedding Songs, which is really good for the music god himself, CJ playing. On Twitter, I'm at Fisher777. We're all at Bracket Pod. And on Instagram, as always, you can find me at Can't Lick Me. Not one word.
Nice. As always, be well. Treat each other with kindness. More than anything, sort of the whole point of this. Do right. It's not that hard. Smile. You never know what somebody's going through, or how that smile, how that kind word, or that kind gesture may affect their day. As someone who has been at his lowest point and had a kind word thrown my way, or a kind act my way, and set me in a complete opposite direction that I needed to go. In the words of Bill and Ted, what was it they said? Dupe. I can't even remember what Bill and Ted said now. Anyways, be well, treat each other with kindness. Remember the music, movies, books, they heal. Be excellent to each other. Now I remember.